Hi everyone, Drea here with some insider info on how to customize your Hawaiian quilt for a really fun result. So a couple of things you'll need. Here we have a 4-panel block set here that we've done from Hawaiian Quilt, and we've already backed and bound. So what we're using is a snap hoop from Dime to keep everything nice and secure. That way you can go through multiple layers. You don't have to have already backed and bound like we did. You could 100% do this with your sandwich or just your plain quilt blocks, or you can do this as you go. But we wanted to show you some different options. Another thing we're also going to use for this tutorial is a wired mouse. So this is just an inexpensive type of mouse, nothing special. You'll take the USB and then plug it into your machine in that mouse port. So once we have that ready, I'm going to have you come around and we'll show you step by step on how to add in custom stitches to your Hawaiian quilt. So once your mouse is plugged in, you can either continue to use your touch screen, or as you can see with the little arrow, you can use your mouse to navigate. For this particular video, we'll be using the mouse for our navigation since it's already plugged in. So the first thing you'll do after you have loaded your hoop in the machine is you'll click IQ Designer. Once you've selected IQ Designer, you will go up top to this little leaf, looks a little bit like a fern to me, and this is your scanning icon. So you will click this icon. You'll see the options here at the bottom. The first one is the one that you want, Image Scan. So click that. It's going to ask you for confirmation. Tell it absolutely, and bear in mind here, it is reminding you that your hoop is going to move. So if you have a larger hoop, or if you like to sit close to your machine, back up. So once your machine has finished scanning, you'll notice on your screen it will load a slightly dulled version of your hoop. We're only focusing on this portion of the flower for today's video, so that's really what I wanted to make sure was accessible. This portion over here, I'm not going to worry about that right now. But if you wanted the whole frame, the whole hoop, make sure your design is exactly as you would wish it to be. You can enlarge or make it a little smaller as you prefer. About 200% is sufficient for me. And then you will have your hand tool that allows you to move back and forth. Sometimes that's very handy as you're working. The next thing that you're going to do is I want to add, for this particular flower, I'm going to add an extra decorative stitch. We're going to the zigzag for our customization, and here you can select several options. So for our drawing option, it will have line property. I like this last one, which is called point to point. It is very easy to use, and then you can select your points. I'll show you in just a moment. The next thing we'll do is select what we want this stitch to look like. So the stitches that you see here, and you may have more or less depending on your software version in your machine, we're going to select this floral one, which I think looks kind of fun and complementary with Hawaiian Quilt. Pick a color down here that suits you. Remember, this is not necessarily how this will stitch out. It's just something so you can see it on screen. Once you've selected it, remember to double check that you have point to point for your easiest use. Go down to the bottom and click OK. When you've done that, you'll see again here that point to point tool is nice and highlighted. This kind of teal color means it's selected. Anytime if you have decided to move your design around and that hand is on screen, you won't have your point to point. So make sure you have the correct one selected. Next thing we'll do is we'll take our mouse, or you could use a stylus, but the mouse is the easiest for me to stay steady, and you will select the edges of what you want to outline. So I'm going to simply outline this nice teal flower. I'll get my starting point, and it will give me a little box just so I can see where in the world my point went. Then you'll select various points around the outline. Now you can see because we selected point to point, they will join together. Ignore this first to last dot. You're looking for the continuity of the line, and you can kind of see that shape starting to form. If for some reason you go way off over here and make a mistake, just go to your back arrow and you will remove the last thing you did. If you're unhappy with it, again, you can go back and remove it, or if you change your mind, you can add it back. So that's a great functionality as well. Remember, all these functions and things that we're using now are completely built into your machine. They're in all the newer machines, the Luminaire and the Solaris, and they will just give you some really great options to customize and get the most out of your Anita designs. All right, we have our entire shape outlined. Everything just has this outline on it. Now that doesn't look too beautiful yet. That's okay. The next thing you'll want to do is go in and select, make sure you have the shape you're after and you didn't leave any openings. Once you've done that, you can go to next, and then it's going to pop up exactly that formation. So remember, we selected this little floral outline. It's going to pop up your formation that you've selected on screen. Now you can make some adjustments here. You can move your design a little further apart, horizontally or vertically, and you can change some other properties of that design. I think it looks pretty good. If you're unhappy with it and you want to change anything, go back to return. If you want to change your points, remember how we went to the back and forward arrows. Be careful though, if you hit all clear, you'll have to start all over. So I'm satisfied with our shape. Going to next. What I like to do at this point, just in case, I like to save it to the memory of the machine. So you'll select memory and then your machine, and it will save this piece for you so you can use it again later. So if you're ready to embroider, you can hit set, and it will again remind you, hey, I'm going to turn this to a design. Tell it okay, and then it will pop up on your screen. So once you've selected your design, everything is ready. Again, remember I chose a pink color, but that's not what we're actually going to stitch it in. I've loaded something that I think is tonal and will look nice into my machine. So the next thing you'll do is select embroidery. Once you've selected embroidery, you know what to do from here. Make sure your machine is threaded. Make sure you've left your hoop in the way it's scanned. You'll go ahead and get everything threaded, put your foot down, and then we're going to stitch it out. Now this is just a basic, again, edging design. You can make it as complicated and add a fill into the center if you wanted to, but this one is just to show you how to add in some extra pizzazz. So you can see here that we added in our really fun outlining kind of fill here. If you've decided that's not enough, you can always go like we did and go a little crazy on this one. So we used that same outline, and we also went in and used that little bucket feature and added in some extra fills. So if you're not sure how to do that, stay tuned. We have some good things coming up. You can completely create a customized piece using your Anita Goodesign.
Thanks so much for joining us today on how to customize your Hawaiian quilt. Hope you learned some extra tips and tricks on how to customize using your machine and your Anita Goodesign packs. Catch you next time.